Roga offering $101,000 for anyone that can break the 501 barrier on the elephant bar deadlift. So, Arnold Strongman classic news, the deadlift we all saw on Instagram this week. Roga offering $101,000 for anyone that can break 501 kilos or more. Now, I find this interesting, the 501.
Yeah.
Because obviously Thor's 501 is the current world record on the standard deadlift. Mm-hmm. What do you make of the number, firstly, and the amount that's being put on? And also for me, a question mark, I know some people are probably thinking the same. They haven't given the athletes long or much notice for this record.
No, it's not much notice. However, if you read the wording, it says bounty remains, which kind of implies that this has always been the case. I don't know if that is true, but it's like, you know, this bounty is still here if you want to do this. So maybe that has been the case and we've just not been in a position for anyone to challenge for it for the last few years. I don't know.
Well, I mean, let's look at the athletes. Obviously, we've got, we have Thor, who is probably the guy that most people are talking about when it comes to a deadlift world record. Yeah. He's pulled the 501 on the regular bar. No one has pulled over 500 kilos on the elephant bar at the Arnold. Currently, the world record is held by Hafthor Bjornsson at 474.5 kilos, which is 1,046 pounds.
Yeah, but they are two different records, aren't they? Just to be very clear, because the elephant bar is longer. They do it without a deadlift suit. It's different conditions. Different rules,
absolutely, yes. You cannot compare the two. They are...
No figure of eights.
No figure of eights, no suits allowed.
Mm-hmm. No briefs.
No briefs as well. So there are a number of differences. And I mean, if this record goes, it would be fantastic. I personally feel maybe this should have been announced months ago to give athletes that really want to prep the time to realistically hit this target. I know that Thor has been focusing on the deadlift, but if you watch his training, everything has been in a suit. He's been looking at working towards a deadlift world record. I think that's fallen through for now.
Yes.
Suddenly this opportunity has come about. Now, Thor pulled 460 recently. Great lift, but in my opinion, didn't quite look like he's ready for the 505.
Was that in a suit?
Yes.
Okay.
And I mean, like... I've seen comments online, and we shouldn't be disrespecting 460 kilos. It is a massive, massive weight. However, when you look at what Thor was pulling around the 470 mark before he did the 505, looked a little bit better. Just from my perspective, watching the video, still tremendous weight, but I don't quite think he's ready for the world record just yet. Looking at the rest of the lineup, there's no one even close. I mean... Trey did an amazing 470 kilos at the Deadlift World Championships, which is huge, but still that 30 kilos is a big jump. And when we look at last year's results on the elephant bar deadlift at the Arnold Strongman Classic, there's no one there that's kind of standing out to me that's going to break a record. When you look at Bobby Thompson came in second with 436 kilos, Mitch Hooper was third with 431.
Yeah. It would not without like a proper committed time to train for it. And Rauno Hainler in the comments on that Arnold Sports post
what's he been saying?
Well, typical Rauno. He doesn't feel that it should be part of the main competition there. He said do it as a rogue record breaker so you can have all the best deadlifters in the world have an attempt.
I think that would be a better way of this prize purse kind of being invested, because obviously you've got I think it's 11 athletes, is it, we've got for the main show?
The men, yeah.
Some of them are not deadlift specialists.
No.
And if we look at the whole line, let's
just
look at comparing the deadlift from last year. So we had Tom Stoltman pulled 415 kilos, Evan Singleton 427, Mitch Hooper pulled 431, Bobby Thompson pulled 436. Hafthor won with 456 kilos. If we go back to 2019's Arnold's, we had all the way down to Martin Zlissis. He pulled 440 kilos and took 5th place.
Yeah.
That would have been second at last year's deadlift. So the deadlifting standard a couple of years ago, actually a little bit better than it is currently.
Well, if you look at some of the guys that we had there, Jerry Pritchett, Brian Shaw, all in peak sort of deadlifting shape.
So in my opinion, cool to see this money kind of, the opportunities there for the strongmen right now. But I do agree with Rauno in this one, that I think if you're going to put this out as a record, let's just get the best deadlifters there.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the best athlete, because the Arnold's has fantastic athletes, but when it comes to the deadlift, you're looking at a specialised lift, and there are other guys out there probably better suited to coming for an attempt at this record.
And you could do it as a record breaker on the Sunday in addition to having it in the competition, to be fair.
The only problem with
athletes self-fund their way there if they really want to have a proper crack at
The only
this.
problem with that is then the likes of Trey and Thor that are doing the whole competition are going to obviously not be able to do it if they're going to be burnt out from the competition.
Well, then they'll have to break it on the Friday when it's in the competition, won't they? Just break it there and then.
I guess that's an option.
Yeah.
You know, do it in the competition.
I don't know. I never propose to have all the answers. But I think there's... I would love to be wrong. I think there's a 5 to 10% chance of it actually being broken, probably less. On that bar, over 500 kilos, come on.
I'd love to see it.
I would love to see it because we're going to be there and I want to be there when it happens. But I just... Realistically, I don't.
For me, I think the deadlift needs to be separated. If we're going to see records now, you know, gone are the days of strongman records going in competition or full competition.
Well, records like this as well,
yes.
that are standing for much longer times now.
The Arnold is such a prestigious competition. I mean, we may find because of the events, Thor decides I'm going to come and just focus on the deadlift.
And maybe, and I 100% believe he could break his 474.5 kilos.
Absolutely.
I think that's possible, definitely. But
I 100%
I think
agree
500
with you.
plus is a push.
But I also think 500 is possible for Thor if that was the sole focus.
And if it had been from day one.
Yeah, I don't believe 7 weeks is enough time for him to kind of do that. The prep needed to start earlier in terms of raw pulling. Obviously, he's been focused on an equip pull. And other athletes as well. But we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
It's nice that Rogue are giving the opportunity to the athletes. But yes, I would like to see some other guys involved in this if it was just for the deadlift. Anyway, moving on to the strongest man on earth. Brian Shaw put out a video this week. You've had a chance to watch it. I unfortunately was away this weekend, so couldn't watch too much. But essentially, from what you've told me, the qualifying system of how these athletes have been invited, events been released or not?
No. Do you want me to just rescue
you? Best do that.
So the qualifying system is he's going to re-invite the top 5 from last year's competition. So in this case, that's Mitchell Hooper, Thor Bjornsson, Lucas Hatton, Trey Mitchell, and Austin Andrade. So those 5 are straight back in.
Yep.
It's a 16-man lineup, just for reference. Last year's North America's Strongest Man winner. So that one will always run a year behind because the 2 competitions are quite close to each other.
Yeah.
So Maxime Boudreau automatically has an invite there. The top 3 from this year's Arnold's, so the most recent Arnold, so we don't know that yet.
So the one that's coming up.
Yeah, there's going to be crossover though.
There is. Trying to just think off the top of my head, how many guys have we got in that competition that haven't already qualified? 2 or 3?
Yeah, not many. And then there's the 3 from last year's Rogue Invitational. So Mitch and Thor are already in. That means Tom also is invited. So we've got 8 so far. Oh, and the Shaw Classic winner, of course. Josh Spurgeon, Team Lars. The Team Lars.
Yes,
I thought I
very
said
much
him.
is. Yes, he is indeed.
Yeah.
So we've got 7
8
athletes.
out of 16 so far, yeah.
So who are the 8?
So we've got Mitch, Tom, Lucas, Thor, Trey, Maxime, Austin, and Josh. 8.
Cool. So
And potentially more will be added. From the Arnolds, probably not. But then at that point, he's going to start looking at things like World's Strongest Man results, other international competitions, who's hitting international podiums and stuff like that. So
I think Brian does a good job of getting the top guys at a show.
do you know what? I've never looked at a Strongest Man on Earth Shaw Classic lineup and thought, why would he invite them? Not once. I think he gets it right every time, to be honest.
Obviously, a man that knows the sport well.
He does.
It's going to be a good show. I can't wait to find out what the events are going to be this year for that event.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
And it's going to be exciting to see which other athletes get into the Strongest Man on Earth.
Yeah, and like it's, there's loads of opportunity because of that discretionary sort of area. Like we were talking earlier, last year Wesley Dewinski came second. No, not last year, the year before. He came second to Austin at the Shaw Classic Men's Open. So he missed out on that qualifying spot, but then he made the World's Strongest Man final last year and he got in. So
do you want to quickly kind of, maybe we could both throw out a few names that we think might end up in there? I mean, if we look at the Arnolds coming up, I think Kilishkovsky would have a good shout of getting into a position.
If not through the Arnolds, then through Europe's Strongest Man or World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
Oh, he could be one of those. You're in, mate. Because we all know he can do amazing things.
Sure.
On events. Kilishkovsky. I think no matter what, the winner of Europe's Strongest Man will be invited.
Okay.
I wouldn't like guarantee that the winner of Brits would be invited. I think it would be performance dependent. I think if someone went and mogged it and looked amazing, then yeah, they'd be invited. Who knows? It's going to depend on who.
I think Brian will be watching a lot of the competitions closely, the big competitions, seeing who beats each other.
Yes, yeah.
There's going to be opportunities still for people to get out there and get to the strongest man on earth. So if you are a competitive athlete, keep winning. That's all I can get. Keep performing.
You just need to perform when it matters. Like there's no point winning these small shows. I feel you just need to.
No, and if you're up against the likes of Tom or Thor or Mitch, they've already qualified. So even if you're just getting close to them, you're going to be looked at.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, guys, that is it for this week's news video. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think will be competing at the Strongest Man Earth? What do you think about the bounty that Rogue have put out for the elephant bar deadlift? We will catch you guys next time. Take care.